making headlines in the past couple of days have revolved around the race for political offices in Nigeria, and particularly who is credible enough to chair the presidential seat of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is not out of place to say that most of these headlines and updates about people stirring the political space of Nigeria have been quite dramatic. My name is David Olaiwola. Welcome to Political Echoes. Welcome back from that short break. Political Echoes is a fortnight political talk show that's set to discuss topics and issues making rounds in the Nigerian political space and bring to the spotlight sensitive issues that call for address in the political milieu, and how people can be sensitized about these political issues and probably make their conclusions from these trending political issues. These issues concern me and concern you, and this is the reason why we need to discuss them. In light of this, our topic for today's discussion is the credibility of primaries in Nigeria. With me in the studio are two wonderful guests who are ready to lend their voices to this cause. I have first with me a young lady, a barrister to be, an alumni of the premier university, the University of Ibadan. A young and passionate woman who is passionate about growth and positive turnaround of Nigeria. A political activist and social entrepreneur, Ms. Kauthar Salaudeen. You're welcome, ma.
Thank you very much for having me, David.
Thank you, ma. I also have with me a political analyst who doubles as a CIE consultant and a historian, Mr. Bolaji Dada. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, David. It is my pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. Without much ado, political primaries in Nigeria is a form of electoral college where a set of people known as delegates come together to vote on behalf of other party members for who will become the flag bearer of the political party in the general elections. The advantage of this is that it makes the process less cumbersome and makes the numbers manageable. So, to my guests, I would ask you the first question now, that the recent primaries in Nigeria, how credible are they?
Well, let's give a preliminary. Let's have a background here. First and foremost, we should understand what democracy has had to offer us. Democracy have had to bring us a lot of freedom, a lot of people participation. One of the principles of democracy is what? Popular participation of the people in decision making that concerns their own personal or individual growth. Now the question is that, are we really even using what democracy have had to offer us, considering we've actually passed through, or we've eked through coups and counter coups, we've eked through several systems of government, stemming from military system of government, unitary system of government, parliamentary system of government, and now we have democracy upon us, which has given each and every one of us the freedom to make decisions that would actually better our lives or either mar our lives. Now coming down to the mode of electing or selecting our representatives, which has to do with the direct, indirect, and the consensus mode of election. Now the indirect system is the system whereby we have our delegates who are going to actually make several opinions or elect our supposed leaders. You see, what I see with the Nigerian space right now is a selection, not an election. Because there is no popular participation of the people. So I cannot say there is a credible election here. We have delegates, no doubt. But before we have delegates, come to think of it here, we are supposed to have an influx of people who will make decisions in those parties. The total sum of everybody in the 18 accredited political parties in Nigeria is now up to 3 million persons. Yes, by statistics. So if 3 million persons are the ones deciding for 216 million persons, is that not a dissatisfaction or a disservice on our democracy? So I cannot say that there is credibility. And considering the fact that so many of these delegates are being paid to do one or two things, 40k dolls here and there, cars here and there flying about, you see the money bags entering into the political parties trying to pay who and who is who. So I cannot say that there is credibility. And this is where the law enforcement are supposed to come in. This is where our laws are supposed to actually prevail. So if you're going to talk about credible election, we're supposed to talk about the rule of law. Are we in a society whereby we ourselves obey the law? Talking about credibility, you see, our election process is being highly monetized. Nigeria's democracy is one of the most expensive democracies in the world, considering the amount of money that have been used to buy our delegates over and over. So I cannot say that these particular primaries, indirect primaries, have been credible. And I don't think it has in any way done a good service upon our democracy. I yield the mic now.
Thank you very much for your response, Ms. Kauta. Now, flowing from what you said just now, that the political space of Nigeria is highly monetized and isn't as credible as it should be. It was in the headlines some time ago that, the just concluded PDP primaries. It was former President Atiku Abubakar won the presidential ticket. And at the same time, the APC primaries is fast approaching. And you said?
Former VP, not president.
Oh, I beg your pardon. So the former vice president of Nigeria, President Atiku Abubakar, won the primaries for the PDP. On the other hand, the APC primaries is fast approaching, and there has been all said and done that Tinubu was the one who made Buhari, that's our current president, to win the election after his failed attempt 3 different times, and now it is his turn to become president. The presidential ticket should be zoned to the south, southwest, and all sorts. And all this is going to be decided primarily at the primary elections first, before you get to the general elections. So I will direct my question to Mr. Dada now. That flowing from this, what do you make of it? What do you think of people? What do you think of aspirants turning the political space to their own personal affair? What do you think of them believing that what they want is what will happen? What do you think of that, sir?
Well, it is very unfortunate that we are where we are as a country. And as a matter of fact, if we fail to get it right, we may not end well. Because, you see, when you talk of primary elections and having candidate of a particular party hijacking the party structures and then imposing themselves on the electorate, it's not going to help. And why I said this is that until we realize that there is need to include the excluded, then the question is, who are the excluded? The electorate. These are the people that are in the best position to elect those that are going to govern the affairs of this country. Unfortunately, that is not the case. And if you're a good student of history, going back to Second Republic, what we saw in the Second Republic, we had a situation whereby the various parties that we had in Nigeria there were being financed by the party members, not individuals, not political leaders. Because when you allow the party members to have contribution, monetary contribution, you are giving them a sense of belonging, and that tells you that the political party does not belong to an individual, as we have now. A situation whereby a politician will single-handedly donate maybe 1 billion naira to a particular party, then it will be difficult for members of such party to have a say. What you then end up having will be a situation whereby the party structure will be hijacked by these individuals. I actually call them political merchants. Okay? So until we have a system whereby electorates, the populace are carried along, a situation whereby they will play prominent role, they will be politically alive, that is when we can get it right. But as long as we have a situation whereby politicians, in one way or the other, finance the party, and because there is a saying that he who pays the piper dictates the tone. You cannot tell me not to have the party structure in a situation whereby I finance the party, I contribute everything that I have. But if it is other way around, it will be difficult for an individual to hijack the whole system. And until we do this, we may not end well as a country.
Thank you very much for that response. And I would ask you another question framed from what you said. Unfortunately, the Nigerian political space has been highly monetized. I mean, it is seen in delegates working for the highest bidders, as we've been seeing in the headlines of recent. And I mean, presidential tickets form of 100 million naira, that's a whole huge amount of money. So, what do you think? Do you think that this highly transactional political system is worthy of producing candidates that Nigeria needs at this point?
Well, I want to say this emphatically, that the ideas of asking candidates paying huge amount of money, all in the name of getting the form as an aspirant, and you pay 100 millions, you pay this, will no doubt prevent many people. I mean, the real people that have one or two things to contribute to the growth and development of Nigeria. Because in one way or the other, they have been deprived. Fine. Politically speaking, they might be relevant. In terms of administration, they might have one or two things to contribute. But unfortunately, financially, they are not there. And that's why I said it, that until we include the excluded, these people are in one way or the other excluded by their party because of the way and manner in which this party is selling the form in an expensive price or what have you. Feel that you just have to get the form after paying so amount, which is not supposed to be. And unfortunately, we don't have a system that will give room for independent candidacy, whereby an individual will not need to belong to a particular party, because many people, like I said, will be, of course, deprived of exercising their political right in terms of contesting in one point. And then that will also tell you that it will only be limited to the few ones who are called political merchants.
Thank you very much for that solid point, sir. I would speak to you now, Ms. Caltha. As a rigid advocate of collection of PVC, people, electorates getting ready to exercise their franchise in upcoming elections, do you think that at this point that we are in Nigeria, that the electorates are even ready for the election? Do you think we have as many people on ground who have their PVCs already, who are ready to exercise their franchise? Do you even think they know what is going on at the primaries? Are they just going to vote for a party that they belong to or a credible candidate? Because who they vote for is the product of these primary elections. So do you think the electorates even know what is going on? And do you think they would vote for credible people as opposed to parties?
First, they don't know what is going on when it comes to primaries and the likes. Second, there is a political reawakening. I have never seen the amount of agitation I am seeing. In my lifetime, I've not seen it before. So I feel like the entire noise we are making is getting to even the deaf people. They can hear us. Even the blind can feel us. So I feel like in as much as our civic orientation is not enough, securing their PVCs, their permanent voters card, is the first step. I would not say because they don't know, they should not still get their plastics, their power. They still need to have it. Then our second job will now be what? Re-enlightening, reorientating them, sensitizing them. That is why I keep saying that, see, educate a child and you create a democracy. What we have now is not a democracy. What we have now is a measure of so many systems that we have eked through over the years. What we are practicing now is not a clear democracy. So I cannot categorically say that anybody knows what true democracy feels like in the country. We are only trying to play along. So as an individual in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, see, we have a lot of work to do. We are not going to get there immediately in 2023 at all. But we are at a crossroad whereby we either go to the right or we go to the left. If you go to the left, Nigeria, we can't sink no lower than we've already sunk right now. It is going to be a complete disaster for the country. So I feel that the job the onus is on us as people to continue to reorientate our electorate. That see, fine, we are not there during the party primaries. We were not there when our delegates were thumb printing, which I know of course is our fault, because if we have actually entered political parties, we would have been there to make credible decisions. We will not have the minorities making decisions for the majorities. That is our number one mistake. Now that okay, now they've now selected for us, it is our duty to now see that this person should not win on a platter of the fact that he's a popular person. No, he should win on a platter of the fact that he's a credible candidate. We should look. We have to see clearly now, because I keep saying something that the president, Nigeria is going to be shaping in the image of who we call Mr. President.
Yes.
If we have a sick president, we will have a sick Nigeria.
Yes.
Like we've had it for the past 8 years. So if we want to know who a credible candidate is, look at those flag bearers, look at those aspirants and those candidates. Now, do they represent the Nigeria you want? And it's not just the office of Mr. President now. We are supposed to now look far back towards local government elections. We are going to look at councillors. Those are also other elective positions that we have in Nigeria. Because it seems as though to me that we only pay attention to the office of Mr. President alone. We electorates now have to look at 1,500 plus persons that will decide. Stemming from what? The Senate, that is 109. Federal House of Rep, that's 306, 360. State House of Assembly, that one is even that is even where you have the largest numbers of our representatives. However, we don't pay core attention to those people. They are the ones that will decide the quality of your health, your education, your water system, your security, the cost of your gas, the cost of your electricity, all those core things, your aviation, your culture and tourism, everything that is particular to an individual growth. They are the ones that decide it, outside Mr. President or Madam President in Federal Republic of Nigeria. So we electorate, we have to do ourselves the service of probing more. We have to ask core questions that are particular to me and you. What is affecting me? If you see candidates that are, okay, we have about how many of them right now? Let's say 18 candidates. After the entire primaries, we're going to be having 18 presidential aspirants. We need to ask questions. Just don't look into the big parties. Don't look at the money bags alone. We shouldn't vote based on the fact that this person is just popular. No, we should ask questions. We are going to a regime whereby things have to change. It has to. See, there's no two ways to this thing. We are at a crossroads. We either make the right decision or go left.
Thank you very much for that powerful answer. And from what we've seen, we as electorates need to know that politics is beyond the presidential candidates. Politics is what is going on around us. Politics revolves around the grassroots level. So we have to do ourselves the service of actually getting to know the people running for positions around us, because they are the ones that will determine most or the majority of the quality of our lives. At this point, let's listen to what some Nigerians have to say about this issue.
What I can say about this is that the way things are going, I think our government, they are buying the elections with money. I don't think it's proper for them to be spending money before they can get what they want from people. If they have done well so far, if the work they've done is being good, I think that can speak for them for the next level that they are aspiring to get to. So I don't think buying or using money as trade by barter, maybe you want me to vote for you and I need to give you money. I think it's a kind of trade by barter, which is not proper. I can assure everyone that I have not seen any of the candidates that is ready to serve the people. But they are there for themselves. Their mission, they can be showing people with their attitude presently that we are for you. But I can tell you, with their art of spending money, I cannot even fix out any of them that I can say I'm having trust or I guarantee this person.
I think we are stuck between the devil and the red blue sea. We would have expected to see a process where a candidate that is well accepted by people all over Nigeria emerge in both parties. But we are seeing a kind of politics which is a reminder of the old kind of politics that end up bringing people that are not necessarily the choice of the people, but about the money bags, about people that are already destroying the country, want to continue to perpetuate themselves in power. So the primary of the PDP that just ended is the same familiar old foe, which is in the person of Atiku Abubakar. Given the current situation in Nigeria, it's difficult for a third force to emerge at this material time. You need enough time in terms of years, like 2-3 years, to prepare a third force that can match any of the two bigger political parties. So PDP and APC for now are the parties to bet at least one of them will produce a president. There's nothing like a third force for now. Even the NNPP still cannot match anything. It would have been better if Peter Obi moved to NNPP and he's made the presidential candidate and Konkoso is the vice president. They might have produced something that looked like a third force, which may not still be enough to take power from PDP or APC, but it should have been able to give them fight for their money. But unfortunately, he moved to Labour Party. Labour Party has not any structure, and they cannot win election.
Welcome back from that short break. In case you are just joining us, this is Political Echoes on Pendulum TV. Now, we have heard what some Nigerians have to say about the salient political issues we have been discussing so far. I will now ask my guests what they have to say about what people on the streets have said. Miss Kauta, let's have you now.
Okay, yeah, they actually make very brilliant assertions. Talking about the fact that the primaries are not credible enough. It has been intensely monetized, and that was the point I actually made earlier as well. But it was a part that caught my attention when somebody said that a question as regards Peter Obi moving from one political party to Labour Party, and they cannot be an emergence of a third force. I beg to disagree. There can be an emergence of a third force if he does his assignment correctly well. You see, you have to know exactly what works for the southern part, what works for the northern part of Nigeria. This is what will take me back to the Cambridge Analytica of the US. They worked for Trump for just 10 good months, and a president emerged. What works for Buhari was the AKDP, whatever, AKDP Analytic Media or something, worked for the Buhari, works for the Obamas. So what are we saying? If he brings in forces like that, weaponizing information, it will get to the people that it needs to get to. So a third force can emerge. And considering the situation we are as a country, you see, the largest percentage, or let's say the largest electorate in terms of percentage, are actually the young people here. And that is the minds that you need to capture more. I was actually analyzing this particular thing on the Twitter space earlier this morning. And I said, see, what will work for the South is different from what will work for the North. Understand your audience. Fight your enemy where they are not. These are political tactics that if you want to win an election, an independent candidate can still emerge. Your assignment is what you should do. Yes, there's a lot of internal party fracas in the APCs and in the PDPs of today. They are not still settled. So you should fight your enemy where they are not at the moment. So there can be an emergence of a third party, and a president can come from the third force right now. And that is what we Nigerians are actually really expecting. We are looking forward to it, because we cannot rely solely on what we've always had. Let's have a taste of another food. We are tired of eating the same particular food. All I need them, people that are thinking or they are posing themselves as a strong opposition, is for them to understand their assignment. You see, our politicians understand us as people. Do we understand them? That is where we need to go right now. We stigmatize politics, and if we want to actually win the game, see, we have to understand that, we have to see politics as a friendly game, and we have to play it to the core. So there can be an emergence of a third force, and from the third force, we can have a president as well.
Thank you very much for that, man. That was very profound, I must say. Mr. Dada, let's have you.
Well, let me commend the last speaker, who said that, of course, the last primary election was not credible enough, considering the fact that the whole exercise was heavily monetized. Of course, there is no doubt about that, and it's quite unfortunate Very unfortunate. And the guy also raised one fundamental point that if you have done well as a leader, then the question is, why are you paying people to do what? You should have allowed what you have done to speak for you. But that enough tells you that our leaders over the years, they have failed. There is no doubt about that. And I keep seeing them as nothing but accidental leaders. Some of them, like I said, they are political merchants. They see business, they see politics as a business, as something they can invest in. However, moving beyond that level, we can have the emergence of third party. It is achievable. And if the Peter Obi as a person, if he can sit down and do his work very well, of course, there is nothing wrong. Nothing stops him from emerging. All right? Because the way people keep saying this, and I disagree, when they say that without the North, South is going nowhere, then the question is that without the South, where can North go to?
Okay. I love that response from you, sir. Thank you very much for that. And I would ask you another question now, flowing from this emergence of the third force that we've been talking about. Considering the current state of political parties in Nigeria as of today, what do you think is the fate of minority parties? I beg their pardon. I mean the likes of Labour Party, NDP, and the likes. What do you think is their fate as of now? Do you think they stand a chance to produce the next president and even other candidates in other elective positions?
Well, thank you very much, my host. I want to say this emphatically. Of course, they do stand a better chance of having presidential post. All they need to do is to merge. If only they could merge their forces together, there is nothing called PDP or APC. And I want to take you back to history. Even before the emergence of APC, what we used to hear was PDP. Then the question is that, are we saying that during those periods, there were no other political parties? Of course they were. For APC to emerge, you have various parties like ACS, you have CPC. Don't forget that Buhari had been contesting. And like Tinubu said, that he supported Buhari to emerge by doing what? By merging together. Then the question you ask yourself is that for Tinubu to have probably supported Buhari, he must have done his own assignment as well. That Buhari too, he must have been winning the North. And realizing that supporting somebody like that, by giving him the support of the South, it will be easier for them to emerge and then take over from PDP. And that was exactly what happened. So it is possible for the minority party in court to take it away from whether PDP or APC. All they need to do is to synergize and then work together as a team. By doing that, then there is no problem in moving forward.
Thank you very much for that response. I appreciate that. Ms. Kauta, do you have any closing remarks you have to say based on the credibility of primary elections in Nigeria?
Before I give any closing remark, I would like to actually draw our attention to a fair few things. That see, people make parties, and if parties will work, people will have to work. Now, flowing from the emergence of a third force, Labour Party can emerge and send the big parties to the round table of redundancy, if they know how to play their games critically well. Politics is not emotional. Politics is a science. Understand it and play it to the core. I understand patriotism. I understand that Peter Obi might want to be patriotic like we've seen. But see, if you don't know your onions, if you don't know where you should go to, then you have to look for a strong measure. What will work for the North is what will work for the South. And more importantly is that, see, there has to be a popular participation of people. Like I said, politics trumps everything. Everything in our life. Politics is just like, it should be number one. An average Nigerian, a primary school student should know about the Constitution. A secondary student should know what goes on in parties. An average American knows what goes on in the Democratic and Republican parties. They know! So start knowing as well. We shouldn't see politics in Nigeria as alien to us, and then we will now seclude ourselves from it. You see, our lives will not change if we continue on that road. So we have to bring ourselves in. Let's start from 30 million persons in political parties in Nigeria today and see the transformation that is going to birth. We have 3 million before. And let's start from where again? Asking questions. Local government, statistically speaking, gets 130 million a month. What do they use 130 million naira to do? Who are we asking questions? What are they doing with the money? We don't even know all these things. We just think that, oh no, of course I understand the fact that they don't have full independence. Of course, the state has eventually tried to siphon, or let me say, gagged their voices, but still they get money. Allocations from FG gets down there. And even Awolowo said, if you are going to build a functioning state, it has to be premised on the local government. So it is the people at the grassroots that will either make or mar a state. And the last thing I would like to say here is what? Education. You see, it is core to any country that is going to grow, that is going to be progressive. Look at the Asian tigers, for example. Look at what Singapore has done. That is their president point you or something. Look at what they have done. Look at our GDP per capita. Education is core. And I keep saying that, see, poverty has been a weapon over time. Poverty of the mind, not just of the stomach here. They have weaponized poverty of the mind just to make sure that we are continuously being subjugated over time, dumbing us. That is why we are still where we are. So let's prioritize seeking for knowledge. Let's prioritize. If you are going to catch those thieves, don't catch them here. Catch them here instead. With what? With knowledge. We can win if we know. If we don't know, we can ask questions. I yield the mic for now.
Thank you very much for that remarkable response. So, Mr. Dada, any closing remarks from you, sir?
Well, thank you very much. I want to submit by saying this, that as a country, hope is not lost. I want to believe that. And as a matter of fact, we need to understand that for us to move beyond where we are, for us to break the barriers, we still have a lot of things to do. For instance, we need to reorientate our people. We need to create awareness. We need to reawaken their political consciousness of our people. And how do we go about this? We need to start from primary school level. We need to, thank God, history has been brought back to the classroom. We need to, because not to know what happened before you were born is to remain a child forever. So we need to go back to our history. We need to let our young ones understand where we were some years back and where we are currently. We need to let them know how important it is for you to have political education. Then beyond the four walls of the classroom, our religious institutions also have a lot of role to play. Media as well, they also have a lot of role to play. So we should understand that this Nigerian project is a collective effort. We should not leave everything in the hands of our politicians. We should get involved. And I want to say that for some of our viewers at home, there are many that have not even collected their PVC. And you have just 19 days to do that. If you want to support a better Nigeria, or you even want the whole system to continue, and you want to vote, you need PVC. Whether you want to vote Atiku or you want to vote Tinubu or whoever you want to vote, without your PVC, you cannot vote. And so we need to get this right. It's a matter of time. Nigeria will get to where it ought to be. And that is my dream. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your remarks, Mr. Dada. And as we can see, these issues are recurring and are inexhaustible. We can keep talking and talking, and we will not leave the studio today. But I would close by saying this. In the poem of one of our finest poets in Nigeria and diaspora, Professor Niji Oshundare, the leader and the led, the persona says the lion, the antelope, the hyena, the impala, the giraffe, the warthog, snake, and many other animals want to lead. But the forest sage has declared, Our need calls for a hybrid of habits. Many thanks to our guest for heeding her call today. We hope that when we call on you next time, you'll be here to answer us. Thank you very much for coming despite your busy schedules. A little bit of a lion, a little bit of a lamb, tough like a tiger, compassionate like a doe, transparent like a river, mysterious like a lake, a leader who knows how to follow, followers mindful of their right to lead. So, who is the leader? Who is our next president? I know you know. Thank you very much for joining us on Political Echoes today. Till I come your way in the next 2 weeks on the same station at the same time, this is Political Echoes, and I remain David Olayiwola.